I have done 30 plus certifications and am here to guide you throughout your certification journey. In this video, we will be discussing some important questions related to AI 102 exam. You can find the complete PDF of this video and our practice questions through the link down in the description. To the important questions. Question 1. You are developing the chatbot. You create the following components. Q&A maker resource chatbot by using the Azure Bot Framework SDK. You need to add an additional component to meet the technical requirements and the chatbot requirements. What should you add? Here in this question, in order to meet the technical requirements and the chatbot requirements, we should add Microsoft Translator. As such, the correct option is A. If you need to support a knowledge base system which includes several languages, you can use the translator service to translate a question into a single language before sending the question to your knowledge base. This allows you to focus on the quality of a single language and the quality of the alternate questions and answers. Create a Q&A maker resource and a knowledge base inside that resource for every language. This allows you to manage separate alternate questions and answer text that is more nuanced for each language. This gives you much more flexibility but requires a much higher maintenance cost when the questions or answers change across all languages. Question 2. You are developing the chatbot. You create the following components. A Q&A maker resource, chatbot by using the Azure Bot Framework SDK. You need to integrate the components to meet the chatbot requirements. Which property should you use? Here in this question, in order to integrate the components to meet the chatbot requirements, we should use Q&A maker options dot score threshold. As such, the correct option is D. Technical requirements say AI solution responses must have a confidence score that is equal to or greater than 70%. And when the response confidence score is low, ensure that the chatbot can provide the response options to the customers. Question 3. You build a bot. You create an Azure bot resource. You need to deploy the bot to Azure. What else should you create? Here in this question, in order to deploy the bot to Azure, we should create only an Azure App Service instance and an App Service plan. As such, the correct option is C. C is the correct answer as you can choose user assigned managed identity to manage the identities of your bot. So in that case, it is not necessary to create an app registration. Question 4. You are building a flight booking bot by using the Microsoft Bot Framework SDK. The bot will ask users for the departure date. The bot must repeat the question until a valid date is given or the users cancel the transaction. Which type of dialog should you use? Here in this question, the requirement is that the bot must repeat the question until a valid date is given or the users cancel the transaction. As such, the type of dialogue that we should use is prompt. As such, the correct option is A. The dialogs library provides a few types of dialogues to make your bot's conversation easier to manage. Prompt dialogues ask the user for input and return the result. Prompt will repeat until it gets valid input or it is cancelled. They are designed to work with waterfall dialogues. Question 5. You develop a conversational language understanding model by using Language Studio. During testing, users receive incorrect responses to requests that do not relate to the capabilities of the model. You need to ensure that the model identifies spurious requests. What should you do? Here in this question, in order to ensure that the model identifies spurious requests, we should add examples to the none intent. As such, the correct option is C. The none intent is also treated like any other intent in your project. If there are utterances that you want predicted as none, consider adding similar examples to them in your training data. For example, if you would like to categorize utterances that are not important to your project as none, such as greetings, yes and no answers, responses to questions such as providing a number, then add those utterances to your intent. You should also consider adding false positive examples to the none intent. For example, in a flight booking project, it is likely that the utterance I want to buy a book to be confused with a book flight intent. Adding I want to buy a book or I love reading books as non training utterances helps alter the predictions of those types of utterances towards the non intent instead of book flight. Question 6. You are building a chatbot. You need to configure the chatbot to query a knowledge base. Which dialog class should you use? Here in this question, based on the given requirement, we should use the Q&A maker dialog class. As such, the correct option is A. The dialogs library provides a few types of dialogues to make your bot's conversation easier to manage. Q&A maker dialog automates access Q&A maker knowledge base. This dialog is designed to also work as an action within Composer. Version 7. You have a chatbot that was built by using Microsoft Bot Framework and deployed to Azure. You need to configure the bot to support voice interactions. The solution must support multiple client apps. Which type of channel should you use? Here in this question, we want to configure the bot to support voice interactions, and the solution must support multiple client apps. As such, we should use direct line speech channel. Thus, the correct option is C. The bot framework offers multiple channels with the direct line branding. It is important that you select the it is important that you select the version that best fits the conversational AI experience you are designing. Direct line speech. It provides text to speech and speech to text services within the channel. It allows a client to stream audio directly to the channel, which will then be converted to text and sent to the bot. Direct line speech can also convert text messages from the bot into audio messages by an AI powered voice. Combined, this makes direct line speech capable of having audio only conversations with clients. Question 8. You are building a chatbot. You need to configure the bot to guide users through a product setup process. Which type of dialogue should you use? Here in this question, we want to configure the bot to guide users through a product setup process. As such, we should use the waterfall dialog. Thus, the correct option is C. The dialog library provides a few types of dialogues to make your bot's conversations easier to manage. Waterfall dialog. It defines a sequence of steps allowing your bot to guide a user through a linear process. These are typically designed to work within the context of a component dialog. Question 9. You create 5 bots by using Microsoft Bot Framework Composer. You need to make a single bot available to users that combines the bots. The solution must support dynamic routing to the bots based on user input. Which 3 actions should you perform? Here in this question, we want to make a single bot available to users that combines the bots, and the solution must also support dynamic routing to the bots based on user input. As such, the 3 actions that we should perform are: change the recognizer slash dispatch type, create an orchestrator model, and enable web sockets, and install the orchestrator package. As such, the correct options are B, C, and F. To make a single bot available to users that combines the bot and supports dynamic routing to the bots based on user input, the following 3 actions should be performed. B. Change the recognizer slash dispatch type. The recognizer slash dispatch type should be changed to enable the bot to recognize user input and dispatch it to the appropriate bot. C. Create an orchestrator model. An orchestrator model should be created to handle the routing of user input to the appropriate bot. F. Install the orchestrator package. The orchestrator package should be installed to provide the bot with the necessary functionality to route user input to the appropriate bot. Therefore, options B, C, and F are the correct answers. Question 10. You create a bot by using the Microsoft Bot Framework SDK. You need to configure the bot to respond to events by using custom text responses. What should you use? Here in this question, we want to configure the bot so that it can respond to events. Based on this requirement, we should use an activity handler. As such, the correct option is B. An activity handler is the correct choice for configuring the bot to respond to events by using custom text responses. An activity handler is a class in the bot framework SDK that processes incoming activities from the user and generates outgoing activities. By overriding the onMessage activity async method of the activity handler, you can provide custom logic for responding to user messages. Question 11. You use the Microsoft Bot Framework Composer to build a chatbot that enables users to purchase items. You need to ensure that the users can cancel in progress transactions. The solution must minimize development effort. What should you add to the bot? Here in this question, our requirements are to ensure that the users can cancel in progress transactions while minimizing development effort. As such, we should add a dialog trigger to the bot. Thus, the correct option is C. In Bot Framework Composer, each dialog includes one or more event handlers called triggers. Each trigger contains one or more actions. Actions are the instructions that the bot will execute when the dialog receives any event that it has a trigger defined to handle. Once a given event is handled by a trigger, no further action is taken on that event. Some event handlers have a condition specified that must be met before it will handle the event, and if that condition isn't met, the event is passed to the next event handler. If an event isn't handled in a child dialog, it gets passed up to its parent dialog to handle, and this continues until it is either handled or reaches the bot's main dialog. If no event handler is found, it will be ignored and no action will be taken. Question 12. You need to enable speech capabilities for a chatbot. Which three actions should you perform? The three actions that we should perform to enable speech capabilities for a chatbot are: enable WebSockets for the chatbot app, create a speech service, and register a direct line speech channel. Thus, the correct options are A, B, and C. Question 13. You build a conversational bot named Bot1. You need to configure the bot to use a Q&A maker application from the Azure portal, where you can find the information required by Bot1 to connect to the Q&A maker application. Here in this question, from the Azure portal, we can find the information required by Bot1 through keys and endpoint. As such, the correct option is C. Question 14. You are building a bot on a local computer by using the Microsoft Bot framework. The bot will use an existing language understanding model. You need to translate the language understanding model locally by using the bot framework CLI. What should you do first? Here in this question, in order to translate the language understanding model locally by using the bot framework CLI, we should first export the model as an .lu file. Thus, the correct option is B. You might want to manage the translation and localization for the language understanding content for your bot independently. Translate command in the at Microsoft /bf-lu library takes advantages of the Microsoft Translation API to automatically machine translate .lu files to one or more than 60 plus languages supported by the Microsoft Text Translation Cognitive Service. What is translated? An .lu file, and optionally translate comments in the LU file, LU reference link texts, list of .lu files under a specific path. Question 15. You are building a multilingual chatbot. You need to send a different answer for positive and negative messages. Which two language service APIs should you use? Here in this question, we have a multilingual chatbot and we need to send a different answer for positive and negative messages. As such, the two language service APIs that we should use are sentiment analysis and detect language. Thus, the correct options are B and D. About the options, B. The text analytics API's sentiment analysis feature provides two ways for detecting positive and negative sentiment. If you send a sentiment analysis request, the API will return sentiment labels and confidence scores at the sentence and document level. About D, the language detection feature of the Azure Text Analytics REST API evaluates text input for each document and returns language identifiers with a score that indicates the strength of the analysis. This capability is useful for content stores that collect arbitrary text where language is unknown. Question 16. You build a bot by using the Microsoft Bot Framework SDK and the Azure Bot Service. You plan to deploy the bot to Azure. You register the bot by using the bot channels registration service. Which two values are required to complete the deployment? Here in this question, the two values that are required to complete the deployment are app ID and app secret. As such, the correct options are C and E. Question 17. You have an app named App 1 that uses a custom Azure AI document intelligence model to recognize contract documents. You need to ensure that the model supports an additional contract format. The solution must minimize development effort. What should you do? Here in this question, we must ensure that the model supports an additional contract format while minimizing development effort. As such, we should add the additional contract format to the existing training set and retrain the model. Thus, the correct option is C. Question 18. You have an Azure cognitive search solution and an enrichment pipeline that performs sentiment analysis on social media posts. You need to define a knowledge store that will include the social media posts and the sentiment analysis results. Which two fields should you include in the definition? Here in this question, the two fields that we should include in the definition based on our need are storage connection string and objects. Thus, the correct options are B and E. A knowledge store is defined inside a skill set definition and it has two components: connection string to Azure storage, projections that determine whether the knowledge store consists of tables, objects, or files. The projection element is an array. You can create multiple sets of table object file combinations within one knowledge store. Question 19. You are developing an application that will use Azure Cognitive Search for internal documents. You need to implement document level filtering for Azure Cognitive Search. Which three actions should you include in the solution? Here in this question, we need to implement document level filtering for Azure Cognitive Search. As such, the three actions that we should include in the solution are: retrieve the group membership of the user, add allowed groups to each index entry, and create one index per group, and supply the groups as a filter for the search requests. Thus, the correct options are C, D, and F. About the options, D. Add allowed groups to each index entry. Your documents must include a field specifying which groups have access. About C, you need to get the membership of the user. And F, supply the group as a filter for the search request. In order to trim documents based on group IDs access, you should issue a search query with a group underscore IDs slash any bracket on G column search.in bracket G comma group underscore ID 1 comma group underscore ID 2 and so on bracket of filter where group underscore ID 1 group underscore ID 2 so on are the groups to which the search request issuer belongs. Question 20. You are developing a solution to generate a word cloud based on the reviews of a company's products. Which text analytics REST API endpoint should you use? Here in this question, we are developing a solution to generate a word cloud based on the reviews of a company's products. As such, we should use the key phrases text analytics REST API endpoint. Thus, the correct options are A. The key phrases provide us with the important words from our customer comments, not just the most common words. Also, word sizing in the resulting cloud isn't skewed by the frequent use of a word in a relatively small number of comments. Question 21. You have the following data sources: finance, on premises Microsoft SQL Server database; sales, Azure Cosmos DB using the core API; logs, Azure table storage; HR, Azure SQL database. You need to ensure that you can search all the data by using the Azure Cognitive Search REST API. What should you do? Here in this question, in order to ensure that we can search all the data by using the Azure Cognitive Search REST API, we should mirror finance through an Azure SQL database. As such, the correct option is B. On-premises Microsoft SQL Server database cannot be used as an index data source. Note: indexer in Azure Cognitive Search. Automate aspects of an indexing operation by configuring a data source and an indexer that you can schedule or run on demand. This feature is supported for a limited number of data source types on Azure. Indexes crawl data stores on Azure Blob Storage, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, Azure Table Storage, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure SQL Database, SQL Managed Instance, SQL Server on Azure Virtual Machines. Question 22. You need to implement a table projection to generate a physical expression of an Azure Cognitive Search Index. Which three properties should you specify in the skillset definition JSON configuration table node? Here in this question, based on the given requirement, the three properties that we should specify in the skillset definition JSON configuration table node are table name, generated key name, generated key name, and source. Thus, the correct options are A, B, and E. Each table requires three properties: table name, the name of the table in Azure Storage; generated key name, the column name for the key that uniquely identifies this row, source, the node from the enrichment tree you are sourcing your enrichments from. This node is usually the output of a shaper, but could be the output of any of the skills. Question 23. You have an Azure AI service model named Model 1 that identifies the intent of text input. You develop a Python app named App1. You need to configure App1 to use Model 1. Which package should you add to App1? Here in this question, we want App1 to use Model 1. As such, we should add the Azure Cognitive Services speech package to App1. Thus, the correct option is D. Question 24. You are designing a content management system. You need to ensure that the reading experience is optimized for users who have reduced comprehension and learning differences, such as dyslexia. The solution must minimize development effort. Which Azure service should you include in the solution? Here in this question, we want to ensure that the reading experience is optimized for users who have learning difficulties such as dyslexia while minimizing development effort. As such, we should include the Azure AI Immersive Reader in the solution. Thus, the correct option is A. Question 25. You have an Azure subscription that contains an Azure App Service app named App1. You provision a multi service Azure Cognitive Services resource named CS Account 1. You need to configure App1 to access CS Account 1. The solution must minimize administrative effort. What should you use to configure App1? Here in this question, we want to ensure that App 1 can access CS Account 1 while minimizing administrative effort. As such, we should use the endpoint URI and subscription key to configure App 1. Thus, the correct option is D. Question 26. You are building a chatbot. You need to ensure that the bot will recognize the names of your company's products and code names. The solution must minimize development effort. Which Azure Cognitive Service for language service should you include in the solution? Here in this question, we need to ensure that the bot will recognize the name of our company's products and code names while minimizing development effort. As such, the service that we should include in the solution is custom named entity recognition. Thus, the correct option is C. Custom NER allows you to train a model to recognize specific terms relevant to your business, such as product names and code names. Question 27. You have a text based chatbot. You need to enable content moderation by using the text moderation API of Content Moderator. Which two service responses should you use? Here in this question, The two service responses that we should use are personal data and text classification. Thus, the correct options are A and C. Use content moderators, text moderation models to analyze text content such as chat rooms, discussion boards, chatbots, e-commerce catalogs, and documents. The service response includes the following information: profanity, that is term-based matching with built-in list of profane terms in various languages. Classifications, machine-assisted classification into three categories: personal data, autocorrected text, original text, and language. Question 28. You are building a retail kiosk system that will use a custom neural voice. You acquire audio samples and consent from the voice talent. You need to create a voice talent profile. What should you upload to the profile? Here in this question, we need to create a voice talent profile. As such, we should upload a .wav or .mp3 file of the voice talent consenting to the creation of a synthetic version of their voice. Thus, the correct option is C. On the upload voice talent statement page, follow the instructions to upload the voice talent statement you have recorded beforehand. Make sure the verbal statement was recorded with the same settings, environment, and speaking style as your training data. Enter the voice talent name and company name. The voice talent name must be the name of the person who recorded the consent statement. The company name must match the company name that was spoken in the recorded statement. Question 29. You train a conversational language understanding model to understand the natural language input of users. You need to evaluate the accuracy of the model before deploying it. What are two methods you can use? Here in this question, we need to evaluate the accuracy of the model before deploying it. As such, the two methods that we can use are: from the language authoring REST endpoint, retrieve the model evaluation summary, and from Language Studio, select model performance. Thus, the correct options are A and C. Active learning cannot be initiated prior to the deployment of the model. The primary purpose of the active learning feature is to leverage actual user interaction data to enhance the model's understanding capabilities. This is a continuous learning and optimization process that takes place after the model has been deployed and put into actual use. So the answer is AC. Question 30. You develop a custom question answering project in Azure Cognitive Service for language. The project will be used by a chatbot. You need to configure the project to engage in multi-turn conversations. What should you do? Here in this question, in order to configure the project to engage in multi-turn conversations, we should add follow-up prompts. Thus, the correct option is A. To configure the project to engage in multi-turn conversations, you should add follow-up prompts. Follow-up prompts are a way to ask additional questions or provide more information to help the user clarify their intent. By adding follow-up prompts, the chatbot can engage in a back and forth conversation with the user to gather additional information and ultimately provide a better answer. Therefore, the correct answer is A. Add follow-up prompts. These were all the questions for this video. You can find the complete PDF of this video and our practice questions through the link down in the description. We will be publishing more important questions in the next part of the series. As such, please make sure to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.